So today we're making projects and money out of scraps. And I'm not talking about cell phone holders and those push pull sticks for your oven. I'm talking about real projects that could be the inspiration for your best sellers. We got 4 projects to make, and we're going to use this. We're going to use this. Hell, we're even going to use these. For each of these 4 projects, I have a rough idea of what I'd like to accomplish, but I'm kind of listening to the wood and largely letting the size of each offcut dictate exactly what I'll be doing. For this project, all I need are 2 pieces, approximately 3 by 5 inches, and a block that's at least 5 by 5 inches square and 2 inches thick. Also, I'm a sucker for a good 45-degree chamfer. I think these little effects and accents give a simple project a little bit of depth. From there, we need to create a pocket that's 3.75 inches. Now you can do this using a variety of methods, such as a circle cutting template, Forstner bit, hole slaw, but this is a perfect job for my Onefinity. We need the pocket to be a total of 1.5 inches deep, and since my wood's only 1 inch thick, I'll make 2 pockets that total 1.5 inches, then face glue them together. There we go, that's perfect. Just gotta clean it out and put it together. Once your pockets are cut out, we need to clean up the fuzzies a little bit, face glue them together, then let it dry. And don't worry about getting the edges lined up perfectly. As long as the circle is aligned, we can clean up the edges later. So let's apply a little glue, clamp these bad boys together, and then let them dry. And once everything's dry, now we're ready for our glue up. Now, I did forget to record me cleaning up this main piece. I cut it down to 4.5 inches wide by about 6 inches tall, and then applied one of my patented 45-degree chamfers to get it ready for assembly. Now remember, if you don't have a CNC for the pocket, don't stress. There are a variety of other ways to accomplish this, as I've already mentioned. So this project really is perfect for beginners. Once it's dry, apply the finish of your choice. I like a good hard wax finish. Then we're ready to add our clock mechanism. Now, I really like this particular set of mechanisms because this little gasket's made out of rubber and allows you to basically push it in there, and it holds it in place without any kind of special attachments. Then it's just ready to showcase. Now, this one, I really do enjoy it, but I'd probably make it a little bit wider in the future. I think it's a little bit too narrow. Next, for version 2, I've got a couple of pieces of live edge right here that's really just kind of taking up space in my shop. So I thought, why don't we make a clock out of this too? This is going to be similar to the other clock, but it's going to be slightly different. We're also going to personalize this one. So let's jump right in. And please don't forget, if you're getting anything valuable out of this, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you see more of this type of content in your feed. And if you wouldn't mind, go down right now and hit that like button. Doesn't cost you anything. You can do it while you're still watching the video. And those little things don't cost you a penny, but they really do help to boost the video. Now, for version number 2, I think this one has a lot of merit and could be a great project, but I don't feel that my execution on this one is that great. And the quality of this laser engraving could be a little bit better. But hey, that's what scrap woodworking is all about. It's about trying things out and then learning from your mistakes. One thing that I think would make this look a lot nicer is maybe to put a small piece of wood on the bottom as a base. Adding just that one simple feature could make this look much nicer. And when I say we're making clocks out of scraps, we're making clocks out of scraps. I've got 6 odd pieces, different thicknesses, different designs. This was something that I was going to turn into a cutting board, and then I just kind of messed it up. It didn't work out that well, so I used it to test some stuff out. Got some spalted maple, got some walnut, that's more maple, walnut. Got these couple of pieces that I'm going to use, and I'm going to show you how even these small little pieces you can get use out of. But I need a total of 9 pieces, and I've only got 6. So I am going to grab a couple of other pieces to kind of fill in the gaps. So what I've got is I've got a piece of, I don't know what this is. I'm not sure. But this is Purple Heart, and I figure one little piece of Purple Heart might look pretty cool. Now, these aren't necessarily scraps, but I'm just going to cut off small pieces to fill in the gaps. So let's get to it. All right, at this point, we need 9 pieces of wood that are 3.5 inch square. Now, the thickness can vary. In fact, I'd like for the thickness to be different because that further randomizes the look of this particular clock. Now, to prep this wood, I've got to cut every single one of them down to 3.5 inches, starting it with my miter saw, Then I'll move over to the table saw sled. And then finally, I want to have another, you guessed it, 45-degree chamfer around the outside edges of the clock. So once I get done cutting everything down, I'll take it over to my router table and I'll cut those chamfers. Now I'm showing you this slightly out of order. You really want to decide on the configuration before you cut your chamfers if you choose a chamfer. The only thing that really matters is that the thickest piece is in the middle because you don't want those other pieces of wood sticking out higher than the center and getting in the way of your clock hands. For this clock, which I'm referring to as a patchwork clock, I cut out all the patches to 3.5 inches, as you've already seen, and the shims are 1/2 inch each. With the backer board being 8.5 inches, that means that in order to be centered, the middle patch will be 2.5 inches from each edge. Then I'll use the shims to space out the other 8 patches, with each other patch being 2 inches from the edge. So let's go ahead and mark those on the board. Once we have everything marked, we'll put some wood glue on our board. Now, we don't want the shims to get stuck, so let's not overdo it on the glue. I'm just putting on enough that I know it's going to adhere, but I'm also going to use CA glue as kind of a liquid nail, so I need to have a little bit of room for that CA glue to go. Once we have our glue in place, let's start putting everything together. Now, when you're deciding on the layout, make it as random as possible, because if you have some rows that don't look random and others that do, I don't know if that would actually take away or add to the randomness of it. Now that we have everything together and it's dried, let's cut our pocket. I was a little bit hesitant to cut the pocket after I glued everything together because I didn't want the CNC to ruin it, but it actually did a good job. Now we just need to cut the hole from the stem. You can actually do that on your CNC as well, but I'll just do it with a drill. I'm also drilling through from the front, so if there is any tear out, it'll be on the back of the clock instead of the front. And once we have everything done, let's apply a little bit of finish. I always like to put some type of finish, like a mineral oil or a hard wax finish, on any type of hardwood project. Those oils and waxes really bring out the colors in the purple heart and the maple and the walnut. And because of the fact that this clock has a lot of little spots that are hard to get into, I'll just give it a mineral oil bath. Now from there, I'm going to put numbers on it. Now, if you don't have a laser engraver, don't worry about it. You've got a few options here. You can go out to Hobby Lobby or find some on Amazon. In fact, I found some good ones out on Amazon. I'll put a link down in the description. Or you can just cut out slivers of wood and put them at the 36912 and not have numbers on there at all. And my laser of choice is the We Create 45 Watt Vision Pro. It's an awesome 45 watt diode laser that can accomplish a lot of tasks. I'll leave a link down in the description if you want to check it out. Once we have our numbers cut out, I'd like to paint them. Now, I was originally going to do it black, but as soon as I painted them black, I realized that probably wouldn't look good with the darker wood. So I decided to go back over them with gold. And the black with the gold on top actually gave it kind of a really neat look. Okay, so I forgot to record actually putting on the numbers, but I just used CA glue. And I also didn't record actually adding the clock mechanism into the clock. No big deal. You can probably figure that part out. I'm really excited about the way this one turned out because this has turned into a project that can become an incredible seller. And here's what it looks like. Oh, but before I show it to you, one thing. Now, we could either have it as a square or we can turn it so that it's a diamond. So I put out a little poll on my YouTube channel and asked my audience to vote for which way they preferred. And then also I asked my wife. All right, are you ready to see it? I love this one. This is definitely going to turn into something that I make more of. And what's really cool about these is that every single one can look different because these are random. I just grabbed 9 random pieces and decided to put them together. You can make some that are entirely made out of purple heart, entirely made out of maple or walnut, or you can randomize it like you've done here. And if you randomize it, then every one is going to look a little bit different because you have different wood to work with. So I strongly encourage you to take this idea into your shop. And now we've got one more to make, so let's jump right into that one. To begin with, we need 4 1-inch square, 10-inch long strips that are going to serve as the frame for our clock. I'm going to use this spalted maple that I really just love. Take it to the miter saw, cut them down, and then use my miter jig on my table saw to get me those perfect 45-degree angles. I just decided to use tape to try to glue up these miters because some of you might not have a strap clamp, although a strap clamp is actually the preferred method of getting nice, tight miters. But we'll revisit this in a second and see how it turned out. And it's at this point that I realized that no, we're not going to use this piece of walnut because look what happened to it on my CNC. Apparently, I didn't get my wood blocks tight enough and it started lifting up on me. I've used this method of hold down before with great success. This is the first time that had happened. So basically, this piece of wood is ruined. So I'll grab a piece of white oak that's roughly the same size and then we'll swap it out for that one. There we go. Perfect little pocket. Now all I got to do is put a hole right in the middle. So with that done, now we're going to cut a couple of rabbets on each edge of the clock face, just because I'm trying to make something that's a little bit unique that you don't see all the time. And the depth of it is really up to you. I'm going to go about half the thickness of the wood, and you'll see why here in just a minute. Okay, so once the miters are dry, we take a look right here. That one's pretty good. This one's a little bit loose right there. They're all even, but there's a couple of gaps. That one's a little bit off. So I'm going to take a piece of scrap, and we're going to use the old sawdust and glue trick to fix those gaps. In case you're not familiar with this trick, all you have to do is take a piece of the same type of wood that you'd like to fill in the gaps for, take it to your sander and make some sawdust, and then mix up that sawdust with some glue. Then you've got a nice little paste that looks kind of tasty, kind of reminds me of what you put on cinnamon toast. But it's not. I wouldn't eat it or much of it. I mean, it's tasty and all, but not as tasty as cinnamon toast. Okay, once we got that done, now all we have to do is let it dry and then sand it off. And believe it or not, those miters are now tight with almost zero gap, and you can't tell a thing. From there, let's take a quick look at how it's going to look. And that's really all there is to it. So now let's kind of bring it to life a little bit. I love a 45-degree chamfer, so I'm going to take it to my router table and use my 45-degree chamfer bit to give it a nice little chamfered edge. Personally, don't like roundovers that much. I really just like the look of a cool chamfer. And from there, we need to make sure we center this piece. So just make sure the space to the left and to the right is exactly the same. Then we'll mark that so we can glue it up. Hey, let me remind you that subscriptions and likes and comments are the lifeblood of small channels like this. So if you're enjoying this type of content, please hit that subscribe button down below. Makes me feel all warm and fuzzy, more than you'd ever realize. And from there, just a quick clamping job, and we're almost done. And instead of using numbers, we're just going to cut off a few little slivers of black walnut, and that's going to serve as our 3, 6, 9, and 12 o'clock markers. Now, the best tool for this job was probably a bandsaw, but my bandsaw doesn't have a fence, so I'd have a hard time getting straight cuts there. Then I'll just use a little CA glue to glue them right on there, however you choose. And then it's just a matter of adding the mechanism. So we'll screw those on, add the hands, and we're ready to go. Since you're still here, you obviously like this type of content, so make sure to click on this video right here, which is another of my favorite scrap wood money-making projects.